Once upon a time, in a small town tucked away from the hustle and bustle of city life, there stood an old morgue. The town's residents whispered tales of its haunted corridors, where the departed souls roamed freely, seeking solace or perhaps something more sinister. The protagonist of our story, John, was a simple security guard tasked with keeping watch over this eerie establishment. His nights were filled with long hours of solitude, surrounded by the chilling silence of death. Little did he know that his life was about to be forever altered by the malevolent forces lurking within the morgue's walls. It all began on a moonlit night when John, clad in his worn-out uniform, stepped into the morgue for another shift. As the heavy doors creaked shut behind him, he couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The air smelled stale and heavy, as if it carried the weight of countless departed souls. John's heart raced as he patrolled the morgue's dimly lit corridors, his footsteps echoing through the empty hallways. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper, and the cold drafts sent shivers down his spine. But it was the sound of faint footsteps that truly sent chills down his spine. Whose footsteps were they? Were they the echoes of a long-forgotten soul or something far more sinister? As the nights went by, the footsteps grew louder, closer, and more distinct. John's anxiety reached its peak, and sleep became a distant memory. He would often find himself staring at the ceiling, fearing the moment he closed his eyes. The haunting footsteps had taken over his life, plunging him into a never-ending nightmare. One night, as John patrolled the morgue's basement, the footsteps seemed especially close. They reverberated through the narrow corridors, growing louder with each passing moment. John felt sheer terror grip his heart as he followed the sound, certain of its demonic origin. His flashlight trembled in his hand as he approached a rusted door at the end of the hallway. Sweat trickled down his brow, and his heart pounded against his chest like a wild beast. With trembling hands, John pushed open the door, revealing a room shrouded in darkness. As he cautiously stepped inside, the footsteps abruptly ceased. John's heart raced, and his mouth went dry. The room seemed to breathe, its walls closing in on him. And then, out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of movement. There, in the far corner, stood a figure. Its eyes glowed with an unearthly light, piercing through the darkness and into John's soul. He tried to scream, but fear silenced his voice. The figure approached, its footsteps now agonizingly slow, as if savoring the torment it inflicted. John's mind swirled with confusion and dread. Who was this mysterious figure? Was it a ghost, a demon, or something even more sinister? His thoughts raced like an out-of-control freight train, his grasp on reality slipping away. In a desperate attempt to escape, John turned and ran, his feet pounding against the cold floor. But the figure pursued him relentlessly, its presence growing ever stronger. The morgue seemed to come alive around him, its walls pulsating with malevolence. Finally, John reached the heavy doors that separated the morgue from the outside world. With a burst of adrenaline, he pushed through the doors and stumbled into the moonlit night, gasping for breath. The figure vanished, leaving behind an eerie silence. From that night forward, John's life was forever altered. He resigned from his position as a security guard, unable to escape the haunting memories of the morgue. The footsteps that had once tormented him had become a constant companion, echoing in his mind no matter where he went. Years later, John still hears the footsteps in his dreams, a haunting reminder of the terror he experienced. The morgue's secrets remain hidden, its corridors forever shrouded in darkness. And as long as the footsteps are heard at night, the legend of the haunted morgue lives on. So, dear reader, beware the footsteps that echo in the darkest corners of your mind. For in that haunting cadence lies the essence of true terror, lurking in the shadows of the night, waiting to forever alter your life.